Hello everyone and welcome to Elohim Eternal Exodus by George Alexandros. I've played a game by this developer before, Elohim Eternal the Babel Code, and I really liked that game. I really liked the writing, the story, the characters, the music, the battle system was super interesting. It was an incredible game all around, and it also left on a cliffhanger. This is very clearly a big series this developer has in mind, and this is a free game set in the same universe. Let's see what this is about. I've also been told this one is not as long as the other one, or as Babel Code as well. The Lord said, "I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the..." Oh god. Well, didn't get a chance to read that. By the way, the series does also delve into some pretty heavy topics, particularly religious kind of coded ones. Just a fair warning if that might be too much for you. On his knees, Moshe closed his eyes and clasped his hands together, praying to his gods, the Demiurge, Adun and Edis. You who sit upon the throne of the kingdom of heaven, watching your children on Kenoma, bless my sword to slay Anubis. It has been a while. I remember Kenoma, though. I think that was like a different planet. Behind him, the Simru slave snorted. Your gods can't help you. Moshe opened his eyes and looked at the slave. The slave didn't have a name, just a number. He was the 666th slave on the pharaoh of the pharaoh Ramses. His number tattooed on his chest with black ink. I think it should say 66th, not 6. On his mission, he was nothing more than a pack mule carrying supplies and weapons. Without warning, one of the Mizru guards that accompanied Moshe on the mission shoved the slave so hard the slave fell to his knees, the supply spilling out everywhere. Keep your mouth shut, slave. The soldier raised his whip and was about to strike when Moshe stood in front of him. The soldier glared at Moshe but would not dare strike. Even though Moshe was born a Simru, same as the slave, he was raised a Mizru in Pharaoh's own palace by the sister of the Pharaoh at the time. She had been barren, but the Demiurge Adun and Edis had blessed her with child when she found Moshe in a wicker basket floating down a river stream. Let me help you. I wouldn't want a dirty prince's hands. I am like you, a Simru. No, you aren't, Princeling. You are nothing but a tool to the Demiurge. Was that true? Was the Demiurge using the Mizru as a tool to defeat the Archons, as the Mizru used the Simru to build their cities, tend their fields, and serve the Mizru's every whim? Where did that leave Moshe? He was a Mizru only in status, and the Simru denied his blood. Where did he belong? Didn't this developer's last game also have... I remember one of the main characters was like half kind of a privileged race and half kind of a discriminated against race, and that he had like a lot of... There are like a lot of complications to his relations to a lot of characters as a result of that. Leave him, my prince. The blood in his veins course in so far as he serves us. We are near the peak. Perhaps Anubis waits for us there. Go. Go? You go first so that Anubis sees you and strikes at you. Then when he is caught off guard, we will attack him. You mean to sacrifice me. Do as you're told. Now go. I'll go. My prince, it's too dangerous. I have slain Archons before, and I intend to slay this one too. The guards whisper amongst themselves. You see? He is Simru through and through. What prince would sacrifice himself for a slave? Even his own guards disliked him. Moshe drew his sword, raised his shield. He was ready to face the Archon Anubis. Okay, unlike in the other entries to Elohim Eternal, Exodus has a gameplay that is more scoped and distilled. On each map, you can move through different areas, unlocking chests, obtaining lore, and talking to NPCs. You know what this kind of looks like to me? This looks a little bit like Shepherdmancer's kind of map UI. The game I made, like 7 years ago at this point. You'll also note red statues which block your path. This means you'll need to explore the map more before you can progress. In this mode, you can also access the main menu to look over your equipment. I'd like to say to activate story mode. It's for players who want to enjoy the story. I liked the original game's gameplay as well. Okay, yeah, this is looking familiar. Also, controls. Oh, is there no auto run? Oh, I don't like that. I hate having to hold down a button. Right, oh, I remember the Chris's. I was once married. She was my everything. I loved her deeply, and she was beautiful. We would have a child if a Miseru lord didn't have his eyes on her. He took her from me, just like that. My master then sold her to another lord, and I never saw her again. I don't know if she's alive or dead. When my master died, I became a slave to the royal family. And now look what I've become, nothing more than a pack mule. When Anew is a fighting style that you can equip on a character. Oh, wait, you unlock like a... Wait. This gives me access to new abilities. That's like a class system almost. Being able to equip 2 at a time is really interesting for balance too. Because you have to like decide which one. Okay, I kind of wish I should look at like what these give you individually. I'll do that later. Adun and Edis are husband and wife, known collectively as the Demiurge. They are gods and sit upon the throne of the kingdom of heaven and rule over all of Kenoma through the Pharaoh and the Miseru Empire. Pharaoh offers them regular human sacrifice and has done so since the time of darkness. Moshe senses an evil presence at the top of the mountain. Moshe led the way to the top of the mountain. It was there that he came face to face with the Archon Lord Anubis. That's a cool design. A Simru. Yet you are unfamiliar to me, human. Are you one of my children? My name is Moshe. I am a prince of Misu. And yet you have the blood of a Simru. Ah, I know you now. Yes, I was warned of you. Warned by whom? I see you've brought company with you. Is that all you have with you? 2 guards and a slave? Be warned, Archon. I have slain many of your kind. and I have slain many of yours, Prince of Miseru. But why shed blood? I have a proposition for you, my prince. Proposition? Join me and I'll spare the others' lives. Join you? In what? In destroying your gods, of course, the Demiurge. So that you can sit upon the kingdom of heaven? So that I can free your people, all of you, including the Miseru. You jest. What would make you think we even need such salvation from the Demiurge? There is much you do not understand, my prince. That is to be expected. Perhaps if your mother had not saved you by placing you in the basket to be found by the Pharaoh's own sister, you would not be here. What do you mean? And how do you know so much about me? He speaks lies, my prince, to confuse you. I speak no lies, human. Prince, do you not remember the time of darkness? You were born then, were you not? Moosh had been a baby, but he had been told of the time of darkness when the light from the kingdom of heaven had suddenly vanished. Normally the kingdom of heaven provided light for several hours and then dimmed, indicating day and night, but it has never vanished. It has been weeks of darkness. No one knew the reason for the time of darkness. It had also been called that because all male Simru, babes under the age of 2, were taken from their mothers and never seen from again. Days after the abduction, the kingdom of heaven shone once more. A sacrifice, perhaps? So many babes... Or... Is it babes, or are you trying to write babies? Because I don't think that's how you spell that word. Babes is a very different word. So many, I think there's an I in there for babies. So many babies were lost that day, my prince. That does make more sense to me, just reading it out like that. A tragedy, one I thought I had forgotten. Enough. With a battle cry, the two guards, weapons drawn, charged towards Anubis. No. That's a funny face. In an instant, the guards were killed. Ah, no. Stay away from me. The Simri slave yelped, shoving off the satchels he carried, and ran as fast as he could down the mountain path. Moosh was alone. He drew his sword and raised his shield. Come, my prince, to battle. Let's go. Oh, this is different too. There's less things for me to do. Probably because of the game's lesser scope. What do we got? Physical damage. Severe physical damage. SP is... That says TP, not SP, but I'm gonna assume that's the same thing. Damage over time. I like DOT abilities. It's only us, so that's useless. Guess it all relies on if, Okay, you can die of slip damage. Well done, my prince. I have not seen my blood in centuries. But unfortunately, I cannot let you win this battle. I would rather it not come to this, but I have those I need to protect. Was Anubis talking about the other Archons, or... Moosh caught the movement and looked past Anubis towards the cave mouth. There he saw a woman. Not an Archon, but a human woman. That made no sense. Anubis raised a claw wet with the blood of Moosh's companions. Moosh steeled himself for the blow that would end his life when a blast of fire struck Anubis from the skies above, staggering him. Moosh looked up, and there he saw it. Oh my god! A winged demigod made of limestone, sand, and modar. Saddled atop the demigod was Musha's adopted brother, Ramses, Pharaoh of Miseru. Having trouble, brother. Careful, Pharaoh. He's not like other Archons. The girl, who is she? I'd like to know that myself. You're a fool to come here, Pharaoh. You've saved me the trouble of invading Miseru. If I kill you, the kingdom crumbles. If you kill me... And that's a big if, Archon. He's right, brother. You should have stayed back at the palace. And leave you to die here. I knew something was wrong. I could feel it. Feel it? It was common knowledge that the Pharaoh regularly communed with, with Adam, the male counterpart of the Demiurge. Perhaps Adam had warned him of this. Enough prattle. You will face the full wrath of the Archon Lord Anubis. With the roar of a wild beast, Anubis surges towards Ramses. He slashes through the demigod, severing into several pieces. You know, something else came to mind. I'll explain it next time they're mentioned. Anubis had moved like the wind. At one moment, the serpent demigod was whole, and the next it was pieces of sand and shattered limestone. Never had Musha encountered an Archon who could do something like this. This was why the Demiurge wanted the Miseru to destroy all Archons. Their power was simply too great to leave alone. But where was Ramses? It came from above. A golden light sparkled in the sky and then came crashing down like a bolt of lightning right atop Anubis. The light burned Anubis, charring the skin. What was that light? A gift from the Demiurge, a power granted only to pharaohs. Farewell, Archon. Ramses lunged forward, delivering the killing blow. His spear punctured through Anubis' chest, no doubt piercing through the Archon Lord's heart. Anubis threw his head back and gasped, then Ramses pulled the spear free and Anubis collapsed to the ground. No! You did it, brother. Indeed. Though my demigod will not recover. It matters not. I can always have the Simru build me another. Build? That's an interesting verb to use for that. So they're like built, instead of born or summoned. The woman wept, shaking Anubis as if he were asleep, but Anubis would never wake again. Why kill him? He was an Archon, girl. All Archons deserve death. It is the will of the Demiurge. You're a Simru, aren't you? An escaped slave. It was a crime for a Simru slave to escape. The punishment was death. Are there more of you? Oh my god, hold on. She glanced over at the cave mouth for only a moment, but it was enough. Ah, so there are more of you. Ramses strode to the cave, but the girl jumped up and stood in front of him, her arms outstretched. Please leave us alone. Haven't you taken enough? Her plea moved something in Musha's heart. Pity or perhaps something more. By slaying Anubis, they had taken her hope. 2 of my soldiers lie dead. I also have an escaped slave, and my dearest brother's life was at risk. You and whoever else you have stashed in that cave over there owe me the Pharaoh of Miseru a great deal. He shoved the girl aside, shoved her hand enough that she fell to the ground. He continued his stride towards the cave, spear at the ready. Please do not make this harder on yourself. But you're a Simru. You're one of us. What is your name? Z. Zippora. Bird. The name meant bird, but birds were free, the freest creature that the Demiurge had ever created. Even her name was tragic. Come, I promise you no harm and will come to your companions. Don't you understand, Misery Prince? She looked over to Anubis' corpse. It's already too late. Save your game? Open the whole ass menu? Oh! Anubis was dead. Haran knew it. He had felt Anubis' immense power, and then that same power vanished as if it had never existed in the first place. What could possibly be strong enough to murder an Archon Lord? Anubis had protected him and the others for years. He had been their benefactor, he had been their leader, he had been a father to them all. In a cave at the peak of the mountain, Haran saw the scared and confused faces of the others. Men, women, children, they were all afraid. Come with me, Hashim. The girl looked no more than 7 years old, yet she had never aged in all the years Harun had known her. Harun had seen many age and die, but this girl remained no matter how much time had passed. She shook her head at Harun. Words never left her mouth. And all the time he'd known her, Harun had never heard the girl speak. It was why everyone called her Hashim, for the word simply meaning name. I'm not playing, girl. Anubis is dead. Zipporah is probably dead too. Hashim's eyes widened as she punched Harun on the thigh. Well, it's not my fault. I told her not to go. The others muttered their worries. What do we do? Anubis will protect us, but they found us. The Mizraim found us. We'll have to leave our home. You know, now that I think about it, didn't this developer's previous game also start with you breaking into a mountain and fighting like an ancient race of oppressed people? Some was coming, and Harun knew it was not Anubis. Come, Hashim. Come with me. Oh yeah, the thing I wanted to bring up earlier. The Demiurge and Adam and the other person, they're like an Adam and Eve analogy, if I remember correctly, and they specifically mentioned in the previous game that, like, they have a different name in different religions, and I guess those are their names in this religion, or this world's, or this location's religion. The girl shook her head vehemently. You do not see that word very often. Damn it, girl. He lifted Hashim in his arms and hid behind a stalagmite. Then he wrapped his black leathery wings around himself, covering Hashim, and used his Archon powers to make himself blend in with the shadow of the cave. Harun gritted his teeth. Perhaps he should have helped Anubis first, but he wasn't anywhere near as strong as Anubis. Harun was only half Archon, the other half belonging to a Simru slave girl who had escaped her Mizraim master. He didn't know who his father was, and his mother died giving birth to him. Anubis had found him lying next to his dead mother and took him in and raised him. It's Pharaoh. Fear not, Simrans. Your Archon Lord is dead. Zipporah was with him. She seemed unharmed, at least physically. There was another man with Ramses too. Perhaps this was Mush? Anubis had warned Harun and Mush that he was an Archon slayer and had killed many of their kind. Run, someone called. A handful of Simru made a break for the cave entrance. Ramses sliced through them all with a swing of his spear. You all belong to me now. My soldiers are coming to collect you. Stop this, please. No more bloodshed. Upon hearing Zipporah's voice, Hashim slipped free from Harun's grasp and dashed towards Zipporah. Damn it. Ramses saw the girl running. He gripped his spear tightly, readying for an attack. But Mush grabbed the pharaoh's arms, halting him. Not a child, brother. Defiance burned in Mush's eyes, and Ramses glared back at him. But the glare was short-lived and replaced with a grin. Ramses lowered his spear and shrugged with a smug smile. Very well, I shall spare her. Hashim crashed into Zipporah, hugging her fiercely. Zipporah shushed her, stroking the girl's silken hair. Zipporah's eyes searched around, until her eyes met Harun's, who still kept himself hidden. Zipporah nodded at him, her expression serious. Her look communicated something to him that she wanted him to stay hidden. Perhaps she believed that he was alone with his Archon powers, could save him. Oh wait, perhaps she believed that he alone with his Archon powers could save them, but how could he with Anubis dead? No, he mustn't think like that. He would find a way, he must. Okay, I think I get where this game is going. So, this is a visual novel with the occasional RPG elements. Definitely a smaller side story, hence why it's free, and I've been told it's shorter. If that's the case, I might try my best to keep the episodes around a half hour, even stricter, because, like, I have a hard time reading for that long. The Mizraim people chanted for their king. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, Pharaoh. Crowds filled the street. As Pharaoh entered his city, he raised the head of Anubis for all to see. Everywhere the riches of the Mizraim were on display. Gold glittered from the hanging wind chimes above houses and stores. Grapevines spilled over on the cobblestone streets from their planter boxes. The miserable people were dressed in beautiful gowns and tunics of bright oranges, purples, and reds. And amongst all the lavishness and splendor, the Simru slave looked on with sullen faces. Many were hunchbacked after years of backbreaking labor tending the fields or building demigods or mining for material. Okay, so the slaves built them. Interesting. They wore ragged, torn clothes, their skin charred from the boiling sun and covered in soot and grime. Moosh could read their faces. Why does he not do anything? Is he not a Simrun too? Will he not save us? The Simruns they had found in the mountain cave marched behind them, soldiers flanking on either side. Their hands were bound with leather straps and whips from soldiers cracked at their feet, urging them onwards to their new fate. The woman Zephora glared at him. She would not hide her hatred or defiance. But she would learn. Yes, as all Simru learn. Soon her fiery spirit would be broken, her beauty too would be marred. Then his gaze fell on the little girl next to Zephora, the girl that Ramses would have killed if Moosh hadn't stopped him. Hashim, that was what Zephora had called her. Her daughter? No, this child belonged to no one, and to everyone. The thought came to his mind without warning, it didn't make sense. Then Hashim met his eyes with a piercing gaze, as if she weren't just looking at him, but instead of him, seeing all that he was, his pain and his joy, his dreams and his despair. He turned away from her. They approached the palace. Waiting for them was Pharaoh's sister, Skylar. Moosh, I was so worried about you. I had terrible visions that you wouldn't return. Are you hurt? I'm fine, Skylar, thanks to Pharaoh. Where is his demigod? An unfortunate casualty. Better that beast than you. Will you dine with me tonight? I will have my servants make your favorites. It also had a bath. I've also had a bath prepared for you. And what about for your brother? You can ask one of the many slaves you've brought with you to tend to your needs. These rebels. Oh no, they shall not be slaves. They shall all be executed. Execute them? Then why bring them here? So that the other slaves may see what punishment awaits them if they escape and try to rebel against me. It is the will of the Demiurge. Tomorrow at dawn, each and every one of your rebels will be executed. It shall be a public execution here at the palace. The Messer people cheered once more, this time loud enough to shake the very earth they stood upon. The people are pleased. My love, are you all right? You look pale. Why not keep them imprisoned? For how long? Their sins against me are too great. Besides, you expect me to feed all these people in my jails? Preposterous. Brother, I think something is wrong with Moosh. Don't fret, my dear sister. Moosh is simply exhausted from his battle with Anubis. Yes, perhaps that's it. After all, he had seen Simruns executed before. It was not uncommon. But something inside him had shifted. Zephora and the girl Hashim had wormed their way into his mind and his heart. He saw in them something he couldn't quite explain. Then the answer slammed into him as he could not ignore it. Family. They are like my family. Rest hadn't come to Moosh. His dinner lay untouched by the bedside table. He had bathed, but instead of letting the Simru slaves wash him, he had sent them away and only sat in the tub until the water became too cold to sit in. Execution. Tomorrow. The image of Zephora's terror and hopelessness burned itself into his mind. If he was being honest, there was something about her that looked familiar, but he was certain he'd never seen her before. Then his mind turned to Hashim. Always it went to Hashim. He'd become obsessed with her. Where Zephora burned his mind, Hashim turned it asunder. I must see them. Okay. I think that'll be it for now, though. Alright. I will see you folks later. Thanks for watching.